Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tech Tutorials 2K21. And today we are at 11 day 9th live session in Master Core Java 30 days course. So today we are going to learn about inheritance concept in Java. So we'll start with the definition of inheritance. Then we'll move on to what are the different types of inheritances we have. I just recall the terminology which you are going to use with the inheritance concept, and then we'll move on to different types of inheritances and how you are going to implement inheritance concept in Java programming language through practical. So I'll start with the definition of inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but it's a process of an object can acquire the properties of another class. So simply we can say, so every class is nothing but it's a collection of objects. So now one class object is getting the properties of another class object. So that process in Java programming language is said to be inheritance concept. In other definition, we can say in Java programming, inheritance is a mechanism in which one object acquires all the properties and behavior of the parent object. So now we have an existing class which is said to be a parent class. From that parent class, we are going to extend a new class which is said to be a child class. Now this child class object is going to acquire the properties and behavior of your parent class. So such mechanism means is called as inheritance concept in Java programming language. So we all know properties is nothing but member functions, and behavior is nothing but the functionalities which is provided by your methods. So by using your child class object, we are going to access the data members and member functions of your parent class, and that is only possible by using this inheritance concept. So the terminology we are going to use with inheritance is simply a class. We know class is nothing but it's a group of objects which have a common properties. So when each and every object is having the common properties, because whatever the class is having, and that behavior is having all the objects, and it is simply a template or a blueprint from which an objects are going to be created. So whereas child class or subclass is a class which inherits the other class. So it is also known as derived class or extended class or subclass or child class. So you can name it as anything, and that mentions your new class or your subclass. Whereas your superclass or parent class is a class from where you are going to inherit your subclass and inherit your class features, and that class is said to be a superclass or parent class. And by using this inheritance concept in Java programming, we can achieve the concept of reusability. So what do you mean by reusability? Whatever the things are existed, we are not defined again, but we can use by simply calling. Right? So in your previous languages like your procedural oriented language, and the functions can give this opportunity. Like we can define some functions, and that functions whenever we required, we need not to define again that functions. What simply we can do, we just call. So here also, whatever the properties and the behavior you need, if that things are already existed, then you don't rewrite again in your program, you just use them from your existing class, and that is the feature of reusability, and this can be done by inheritance concept in Java programming language. So whenever you want to do inherit, simply we can use a keyword extend. So extends is a keyword which you are going to implement the inheritance concept. So by inheritance, simply at least we need two classes. One is your parent class and another one is your child class. And remember always, the child class get the properties of the parent class, not vice versa. We cannot get the properties of child class to parent class. We always get the properties of parent class to child class. Right? So the parent is existed. Now you can derive a new class which is said to be child class. And by using this child class, we can access the things which is available in your parent class. So that relationship we can show like this. So now this is your child class is get the properties of your parent class said to be superclass. So simply this is a syntax for implementing inheritance in Java programming. You can specify the keyword class and then child class name extends superclass name. So first you have to specify your child class. Then you can use the keyword extends and you can give the parent class name. And here whatever the data members and the methods we have, you have to write like this. So every class is having their own properties. Like I already said the real-time examples. You can take your parent and yourself. Your parent is having their own characteristics and their own functionalities. And you can have some of the functionalities or some of the characteristics from your parent. But your parent not bringing from you. Right? You are getting something from your parent. Like you are having some of the characteristics of your parent. And you have your own characteristics and your own functionalities and that is of your things. So as like saying, whenever you are going to create a new class from an existing class, we can get the things from your parent class when it is required and you have your own things as like your class definition. So in Java programming, there are 5 types of inheritances. The first one is a single inheritance and multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance and hybrid inheritance. So you can take any object-oriented programming. We have only these 5 types of inheritances we have. So what these types will say is how you are going to get the properties of your parent class. So it depends on that. Whether a single child is going to get the properties of a single parent or multiple childs will get the properties of a single parent or a single child can get the properties of multiple parents and we can get the properties at different levels and depends on that we can categorize the inheritances in 5 these types. So we'll discuss about each and every type of inheritance and we'll go with an example and try to understand how you're going to implement the inheritance concept in Java. We'll start with the single inheritance. So in single inheritance, so simply we can say this is your single inheritance. So we have one parent class and we have one child class. So there is no other things here. We have one parent and one child class we have. And this here in this example, employee is my parent class whereas the department is a child class. So now this department is get the properties of this employee class and we can access the properties and the behavior of your employee class from the department class itself. Because whatever we have by the mechanism of your inheritance, we get access from your child class. So we can access your parent properties also from your child class. So need not to go to your parent class again you are trying to access something. So there is a possibility. So such type of inheritance is said to be a single inheritance. So I'll go with an example and I'll show you how you are going to implement. So before I'm copying into Notepad, I just explain here, you just go through. So this is my parent class. Now you can see this is my parent class. So what is parent class consisting? So here this is a keyword class and employee is my class name. So what your class consisting? So class consisting data members and member functions. Now you can have an employee class here, and this class is having two data members. One is employee number and another one is employee name. So employee number is of type integer and employee name is of type string. And we have two methods like public void set employee and public void put employee. See, these are two methods. One method is going to access the values for your data members, and another method is going to display your data members. So by using the set employee, now you can take this is a method. This is not a constructor. This is a method. So this method is accessing two variables, and by this the values is going to assign your data members employee number and employee name. So you already know how you are going to assign a values to your data members with a method. So I simply here, and by using this put employee method, I am going to display my employee number and employee name. So this is my parent class. Now see here, I have my child class. So I said in my example itself. So now you can see employee is my parent class and department is my child class. So for every employee, they are belongs to some department. Yes or no? If employees are existed, then we can say, and these employees are working under a particular department. So now you can see. So this is your child class. Why I said this is a child class? Because you can see here class, department, and it is going to extend from where? Employee. So this is your parent class and this is your child class, and your child class is extended from your parent class employee. So now this department class is having the properties employee number and employee name. Yes or no? Because it is inherited from employee class. Now it's having all the properties of their parent class. Now the department is having the employee number and employee name. So that is extended from your parent class employee, and department class is having their own properties like department number and department name. Right? So this child class is having their own properties like department number and department name. So here also I have two methods. One is set department method and another one is get department, put department method. So I can do the same thing here. So by using this set department, I am going to assign values to my department number and name like this. And by using this put department method, I am going to display the details of department number and department name. Remember, in inheritance concept, we always create an object for your class, that is your subclass. And from that subclass, you are going to access all the methods of your parent class as well as your child class. Right? Because your parent class is connected with your child class. If you want to access anything from your parent class, need not to go there because your child class is getting one copy of your parent class things. So by using this child class object, you can directly access your parent class properties and behavior also. Again, we need not to create an object for your parent class. Remember always, in main method, we are going to create object for the child classes. So here I have a child class department. Now you can see this is my public static void main. Here I am created an object for department. So my object name is D, and this is a way how I am going to create an object. And by using this object, I am going to assign values to my employee, that is employee number and employee name. What set employee will do? So that set employee method is going to assign values for your employee, that is employee number and employee name. And what your put employee method will do, it is going to display. So now see here I am calling D dot. Right, so D dot put employee is going to display the data members of a class employee. So now by using this D dot set department, I am going to assign the values of my department class data members like department number and department name. Right, so department number and department name. And by using this put department, I am going to display these values. So this is the single inheritance, right? So this is a single inheritance. So I just copy and execute the same program. So I just gone through Notepad. So remember, in which class you have your main method, you have to save your class with that name. So here in department class, you have your main method. So simply you have to save this program with department, right? Because I already said your Java compiler can recognize only the main function because it starts execution from the main function. So now which class is having your main method, and that is your main class. You have to save your program with that class name. So here department is having the main method. So I'm going to save my class name with department.java. So department.java. So by this department Java, when I'm trying to call all these methods, my compiler is going to link with this class. Okay. So now I just run this program in my command prompt. So I just go to command mode and I change my class path. So desktop and cd html. And here I need to give my Java compiler. And my program name is department.java. So now my program is compiled successfully. I can use my interpreter and then I can provide my class name here. So now you can see employee number is 100 and employee name is Devi. Department number is 20 and the department name is software trainer. Right? So here you can observe what? Here I have two classes. This is my parent class and this is my child class. And this child class is having the properties of their own and it is also having the properties of the parent class. Because of that reason, I can access the parent class data members and the methods from my child class. So whenever you are inherited, your child class is getting the copy of the properties and the behavior of your parent class. So now your child itself is having the copy. We don't need to create an object for your parent class to get an access of the properties and the behavior of your parent class. So this is a single inheritance. Now you can find in single inheritance I have only two classes. One is parent class and another one is child class. So I'll move on to the next topic. So that is multi-level inheritance. So I said multi-level inheritance means for this example already by single inheritance we are taken at two levels, right? So we have a parent and then we have a child. So this is level 1. So like we have a relationship between only two persons like parent and child. So now I want to extend this relationship one more level. Now I need to add before my parents with their grandparents. Like the child is going to connected with their grandparents. So that is a multi-level. You can extend it at any levels, right? So most probably they will give you at two levels. So at first level we have a grandparent and parent. At second level we have a parent with child. So now we can say this is your grandparent class and this is your parent class and this is your child class. And we can say like this is your subclass and this is an intermediate class because it makes an intermediation between you and your grandparent. And then this is call it as grandparent class. So now the child class, it get the properties of the parent class directly because they are directly connected with the parent. Because of this parent, the child get the properties of their grandparents also. So because your parents are the intermediators between you and your grandparents. So if parents are not existed, then grandparents are not existed. So that is a relationship between these classes at multi-level inheritance. Now your child is get the properties of your parent class directly, and your child is get the properties of your grandparent class indirectly through your parent class. Understood? So now we can take your grandparent. From that grandparent you are going to extend your parent, and from that parent you are going to extend your child. So in this way we are going to implement the multi-level inheritance in Java programming. So I'll go with an example. So here I have a grandparent class account. From that account class I have my savings account. So if I have an account, then only I can categorize whether it is savings account or it will be of current account or some other account it will be. So from that account, the savings account is existed. From that savings account, I need to, I will get the transaction about my account details. So there is a relation, right? So if account is existed, then only you can identify whether it is savings account or not. If you have a savings account, then only you will get your account details, right? So this is the relationship, and this type of inheritance in Java is said to be a multi-level inheritance, and I'll go with an example by this structure itself. So now we are going to take a multi-level inheritance. So in this multi-level inheritance, I have a class account, right? I have a class account. So I increase the font size so that you all can visible. So I have my class name account. This is my grandparent class because I'm going to implement the multi-level inheritance. And this account class is having customer name and account number as a data members. And now you can see this is a constructor because the method name is similar to your class name. So now this is a constructor. Yesterday I discussed about the constructor concept, why we are using. So this is another way of assigning values to your data members. So you can simply use your methods to assign values, or else you can use your parameterized constructor to assign your values to your data members. So here I am using the constructor concept, and this is a parameterized constructor, and this parameterized constructor is going to assign values to your customer name and account number. And what will be the difference between the method way of assigning values to your data members and constructor way of assigning values to your data member? So whenever we want to use a methods, we can explicitly call by your object and you are going to assign values. Whereas constructors need not to call explicitly. At the time of object is created, you can pass the values to your data members. That is only the difference between method and constructor. I now have a general method like display method, which I am going to display my account number and customer name and account number. So up to this, the grandparent class is closed. So this is your grandparent class. Up to this, everything is closed. So now it's a time to take your parent class, which is extended from the account. So what is your parent class? Savings account. So this savings account is extended from the class account, and then this savings account is having their own properties like minimum balance and savings balance. Okay, so now here I have a constructor, and this constructor is going to assign values for these two, and it is going to assign values, it can downcasting values from their parent class. So parent class I have two data members, so I can use this super keyword. Now you can see super. So super of AB is nothing but these two values I am getting from my parent class, and these two values I am getting from my parent class constructor. And now I am going to assign min balance with C and savings balance with D, right? So and after this constructor I am going to use this display method, and you can find out in parent class also I am having the same method. So I am using the keyword super dot display is going to call your parent class method, right? Super is going to instantiate your parent class methods or parent class data members, right? So remember. So now the super dot display method is going to display the customer name and account number. So because we are getting the properties of the grandparent class to parent, from that parent to child. So that is our purpose, right? So for that you can use super. And by this display method of your parent class, we are going to display the minimum balance and savings balance. And now you can see account details. It is going to be extended from your savings account, that is of your parent class, and this is your child class. So here we have two data members like deposits and withdrawal. So totally I have 6, and I am getting 4 values from my parent class, that is my savings account. So that simply I am calling super of A comma B comma C, C comma D, because all these 4 values I am getting from my parent class, and these two from the parent class directly, and these two from the grandparent class indirectly through my parent class. And here it is a time to assign values for deposits and withdrawal by using this last two variables. So here I am doing like this. And in this child class also I have a same method like display. By this display I am going to display the deposit and withdrawal. And by this super dot display, it is going to call the parent class display method. So what your parent class display method will say? So it will display the content of your grandparent class, and it is going to display the content of your parent class. So when you are calling the display method in your child class, so what it will do? It will call the display method from your parent. So what your parent will do? It is going to display the parent content and grandparent content. So what this display method will do? And it is going to display all the display methods of your child, parent and grandparent. So this is a deposits and withdrawals. And here I am created one more class, because I am differentiated my main function from these classes, and this is my main class. So in this main class, and my class name is multi-level. Why I said this is a main class? Because I have my main method in this class itself. So now I need to save my program with multi-level. So here I am created object for which class? My child class. What is my child class? Account details. So here I am created object for my account details class. Now you can observe here, account details A is equals to new account details. So what I said, here we are going to assign values to constructor. So at the time of object is created, we can pass all the values. Like see, account name, customer name, account number, minimum balance and savings balance, right? Deposit and withdrawal. So all values I am going to pass through my constructor at the time of when I am creating my object. I simply call a display method which is going to call all display methods, right? So this is simply my multi-level inheritance program. So I just execute this program. So from this, I just copy and paste it. So I can take a notepad and I just copy here. And remember, my class name is multi-level. So because this is my main class, so I save as multilevel.java. So here you can see, I'm going to execute this program. Simply I can give Java C and then multilevel.java. So now I'm going to execute by using my interpreter. I simply pass in the class multi-level. And now you can observe that customer name Pallavi and account number is 666, minimum balance is 1000, savings balance is 5000 and the deposit value is 500 and withdrawal amount is 9000. So now you can get the values by this display method. So how your compiler is going to execute this program? So whenever you are compiling this program by this method, so it will take an object of A. So now it is going to this class. So in savings account class, what I am having? So I am having two data members. And here I have a constructor which is going to take 4 values. Means totally I have 6 values. So I'm getting sorry, yes, here it's right. So I'm getting account details. So I'm getting the 4 values from my parent, and the remaining 2 I'm going to assign in this constructor itself. So this is a way I'm getting the values from my parent class. So now because of this super, means because of this super, it is going to call this constructor. So by this constructor, so I'm going to assign values for 2. So we'll move on to the next topic. So we'll discuss about the hierarchical inheritance. Right? So what your hierarchical inheritance will say? So like you can take a hierarchical inheritance. So this is a hierarchical inheritance. We have one parent and we have a multiple children. So take a real time example. So your mother is having 2 or 3 children. So now these children are at the same level. So every children is having their own characteristics, and every children is having a right to access the properties of their parent class. Right? And every individual child is getting their own things and they are getting something from their parent, and equally it is not for all the children. So now this type of inheritance is said to be hierarchical inheritance. In hierarchical inheritance we have one parent class. From that one parent class we can derive multiple child classes, right? So I always said, like always you have to create an object for your child classes. So here I have more than one child class, so I need to create object for more than one child. You just remember, in your hierarchical inheritance only it is possible, and all the remaining things we have only one parent at the ground level, so you don't worry about that. When we have a hierarchical inheritance, like every child is having their own characteristics along with their parent characteristics, and you and your sibling is not same. You have your own characteristics and your sibling is having his or her own characteristics. So that is the purpose of hierarchical inheritance. So we'll go with an example and try to understand that. So here I am given an example for hierarchical inheritance. So here my class name is 1, and here I have two variables like x and y. So I am assigning values for x and y here, and I have a display method. By this method I am going to display the value of x and y. So simply I am doing that only. And after that 2 is my second class name, which is my first child, which is going to extend it from my parent class 1. And here I have a method add, and this method is going to add the values of x and y which will get from the parent. So simply here this method in class 2, and it is going to add values of x and y. Right? And then here I have class 3, so which is my second child, which is going to assign from my parent class, and here I am doing multiplication operation. So here mul is my function which is going to multiply the values of x and y. So here it is my main class. So in this main class I can have my public static void main. So here I have two children, I need to create two objects. So this is one object and this is my second object. So now every object is getting the properties of the parent class. You can access your parent properties from any one of the class. If you are trying to access from both the children, you can get the redundant data because you are getting the repeated data, because first child is having, it will give you the same values of x and y from your parent, and second child is also keep the same copy of x and y. So now you are trying to get the values from the first child as well as the second child. Now you are getting two copies. That is not needed, right? So you can call the individual methods of your classes by their objects, and the parent class properties or the behavior can taken by any one of your child class. So that is the hierarchical inheritance. So I will execute this program. So when you are using in Java programming like a hierarchical inheritance, so suppose for example you can take a real-time example. So you go with the banking sector. So I have a central bank, and that from central bank every bank is associated, right? And that central bank is having their own rules and regulation and everything, and they are affiliated banks. They are getting the rules from the central bank that may or may not be similar. So you can take your central bank, from that you have a multiple banks, and each and every bank is obey the things from your central bank, and their bank they're having their own things. So in such way, like you can take a multiple hierarchical way of inheritance is existed. So I just want to save this program with HIER because this is my main class. HIER. So this is my main class. I need to save my program with this. Oh, 1 second. Because I need to send these files, right? Yes, save. Control. Oh my god. So I'll copy one more time. Copy and okay. So here I save my program with HIER because that is my parent class. And then here I'm going to compile. So Java C HIER dot Java. So now I need to run this HIER. So now you can see this is a method in class 1, and we are displaying the values of x and y. And this is a method in class 2, and here I'm added x plus y value. Now these two values are added and get the value as 30. And then in third class, so I multiplied these two values x and y. I'm getting value as 200. Now you can see this program. So here I'm created two objects. So T1 is an object created for class 2 and T2 is an object created for class 3. So here I'm using T2.display method, so which is going to call your parent class method. So you can use any of object, like you can take T1.display, it is also going to give the same values. So I just save and run this. Now T1.add. T1 is an object created for your class 2. So what is the method you are implemented in class 2? That is add method. So we are not calling the method of multiply by using your first object. See, I will show you, it will give you an error because it cannot access, right? So I'll show you this. Now you can see. I'll run this program. I'll compile this program. So it will show you an error, right? So T2.add. So this is not possible because the add method is associated with the class 2 and you have created T1 is an object for your class 2. So we cannot call like this. But we can call the display method by using any one of the object like T1 and T2. So I will show you, see, in previous I am using T2 object for calling display method, and now I am going to use this T1 object for calling method display. So now you can find out the output, and you can see by using T1 object also we are getting the values of your parent class. So that's what I am telling. Suppose if you are given T2.display, now the same values is going to be displayed 2 times. We'll go with that possibility also. See, here I just added another thing also, that is T2.display. The control C, and these are the comment lines which I am given by 2 backslashes, and here I am going to give T2.display. So what I said, if you are calling with T1 and T2 with the same method, it is going to print the same values 2 times. Right, so Java C higher.java and then Java higher. So now you can see you can get 2 copies. So by this first object and by this the second object of your second children. So need not to call two times and we can call with any one of the object, that is enough, right? So I hope you all can understand the hierarchical inheritance and we'll move on to the next inheritance. So that is multiple inheritance. So in multiple inheritance we have two parents. So from that two parents you are going to create one new child class. So here I have two parents. So now I'm taking one child, means I'm going to inherit one child. So now the compiler is getting a confused. So whenever we are getting the properties of two parent classes, maybe in some times the parent classes is having the common properties. Suppose see for example in real world, you can take one person and that person is getting the characteristics of his mother as well as his father. So sometimes mother and father is having some common characteristics. So now there is a question of that. The child can get the common characteristic from which parent? Like he get a characteristic from mother or father. So that is an ambiguous situation. Because of that reason, in object-oriented programming, we are not directly implemented this multiple inheritance, right? So in order to implement that, we have to use the concept of interfaces, right? We have to use the concept of interfaces. So we cannot implement directly as like your single, multi-level, hierarchical and hybrid inheritances, right? So whenever we want to implement a multiple inheritance, so obviously, right? So whenever we have a multiple inheritance, we have to use the concept of interfaces. So instead of I'm taking two classes and I'm taking one class and I'm taking one interface and this is my child class. So when you are using the interfaces concept, we cannot use extend keyword. What simply we are doing means we are inherit the properties from your parent class. By using that, we are going to implement your interface, right? We are going to implement your interface. So for that we are going to use a keyword implement. So implements is a keyword which is used to implement the interfaces concept in Java programming language. So simply interface is also like a class, but it doesn't having any method to have an implementation. So it's having a method without having any implementation in that interface. So now you have to implement that method in your child class. So whereas your parent class, it's have their own methods and every method is having their own implementation. You can provide the definitions as well in your class itself. So that is the difference between class and interfaces. Okay, so now we are going to see the program for a multiple inheritances. So for this, here I am given multiple inheritances. Like I am given an example of student, and now this result is getting from the student by interfacing with an exam. So see for example you are studying under some affiliated universities, like you are under an Andhra University or JNTU or something else. So how your result is going to be generated? So now for every student, so they get some marks from their institute. So that is of your internal marks or something like that. And now you are going to write your exams, right, which is provided by your university, and getting a adding of these two, then only we can generate the results, right? I hope you all can understand the concept. So now the multiple inheritance in Java programming is not directly implemented because of the ambiguity. And simply what we are doing, we are using the concept of interfaces to implement the multiple inheritance in Java. So I'll show you with an example. So now you can see the multiple inheritance. So this is my interface. So what I said, interface is having a method which doesn't having any implementation. So see, this is having a method. So what is that method? Percentage calculation. So for this percentage calculation, this method is having an implementation in their child class result. So what is your child class? So this is your child class, right? Result. So interface is always having a method with no implementation, right? So such type of thing is said to be an interface in Java programming. So you have to implement the method. See, you have one method, but there is no definition. What is the use of that? So even though we don't find the definition in the interface itself, but we can implement it at your child level. So by this way, we are providing an abstraction also. Means we are hiding the information there. So now we'll see with an example. So this is your interface exam, which having a method like void percent calculation. And here I have a class student, and that student class is having the data members like student name, roll number, and two different marks. Means marks from two different subjects. So now I'm using constructor because see here the method name is same as to your class name. So this is a parameterized constructor. I'm using this constructor. I'm going to assign values for these four data members. So name N, roll number R, marks N1 and marks 2 N2. And after that, I'm having a method display which I'm going to display all the data members of my class, that is student. Now you can see this is your child class. So what your multiple inheritance will say? The multiple inheritance, the child is getting the properties from two classes. Right? It is not extended from two classes, but is extended from one class, and it is going to implement one interface. So now see, the child class result is extended from the parent class student, and by using that information, it is going to implement the interface exam. So in multiple inheritance, you have to take your child class like this. So remember. So result is my child class, which is extended from my parent class student, and which is going to implement my interface exam. So now this is a constructor. So what this constructor will do, because I didn't have any other data members in my result class, I just take the values from my parent class. So by using this super method, right, so I can get the values of my parent class which is assigned by the constructor. So now you can see. So this is my result constructor, and simply I am using super method. So I can get the values. And after that here I have a method percentage calculate. So which is a method given by your interface exam. So now what simply I am doing, I am going to calculate the percentage. How can I find it? So I am taking one local variable total, and I am going to add marks 1 and marks 2. And I'm getting the percentage by total divided by 200, because I am taking for marks for 100 marks for each and every subject. So now I have two subjects, then I have 200 marks. So total divided by 200 and multiplied with 100 will give me the percentage. So now I'm going to display that percentage here. And in this void display method, I simply call super dot display. So what is super dot display will do? It is going to display the parent class things. Okay, so that is of my display method. And by this percentage calculation itself, I am printing the percentage, right? So that you get all the values. So here I am taking one more class, which is my main class. My class name is multiple. And here I am given my main method. And here I am creating object for my child. So here I have only one child, right? So I am creating object for that child result. And we are using the constructor concept so that we can pass the values at the time of object created. So I am given values. The student name is Devi and the roll number is 12, and she got 93 marks in first subject and 84 marks in second subject. And I am calling r.display method, and I am calling r.percentage calculate method. By r.display method, I am going to display uh, the data members of my parent class. Whereas r dot percentage calculate, I'm going to implement my interface exam, and then I'm displaying my percentage here. So I just copy this program. So remember, in Java we don't implement multiple inheritance directly. If you want to implement multiple inheritance, we have to use the concept of interfaces, right? So that is, so up to here. So I just copy. So my class name is multiple. So this is my class name. Remember, you have multiple classes. You need to save the class name with a proper name. Otherwise, your program is not going to execute. And which class name you have to give from the multiple classes? Which class consisting of your main method. So here my multiple class is having my main method, so that I can give my class name as multiple. So here I'm using Java C. So my program name is multiple dot Java. So I compile this program, and after that I need to execute this. So simply I'm using my interpreter Java, and then I'm provided my class name as multiple. So now you can see the name of the student is Devi, and the roll number is 12. Marks is 93 and 84, and the percentage is 88. So this is a way how you are going to implement the multiple inheritance in Java. And then the last concept in inheritance is the hybrid inheritance. So by the definition, the hybrid inheritance is nothing but the combination of any two inheritances. So because in sometimes we are not implementing the application with a single inheritance what we have. So sometimes we need to collaborate any of two inheritances. We have to merge and will get your application. So in that situations, we are going to use the hybrid inheritance, depends on your requirement. So here in this example, I'm using the concept like this. Now you can see at this level, this is my single inheritance, and here it is my multiple inheritance. So I have I can match two different types of inheritances. This is single and this is multiple inheritance. So the concept means the merging of single and multiple inheritance. I'll show you with an example here, and you can take any of two. Depends on your requirement, right? Depends on your requirement and application needed. Depends on that. You can choose any of two inheritances, and then you can combine and form your hybrid inheritance. So here I'll show you an example for hybrid inheritance. So I have a class student. So now you can easily understand that here I have one data member, that is roll number. I'm using get number method, going to assign roll number of the student, and put number method I'm going to assign display the student roll number. And then by this test class which is extended from the student, and then it is having two data members like part 1 and part 2, and by using this get marks I'm going to assign values for part 1 and part 2, and by using put marks I'm going to display the marks which is available for that particular student in a particular test. So here I have a interface ports. So the interface class is having the data members of type final, right, and that values are fixed. And then we have a method which is not having any implementation, and you can see a method put weight here, and this method is not implemented in your interface, and this is going to be implemented in your child class. You just remember, without implementation method is not purpose. So result is your child class which extends from your parent class test, and which is going to implement an interface ports. So here I have one data member, that is total, and by using this put weight method, so which I have in my interface, so what simply I am doing, I am going to print the sports weight which is provided in my interface. So the display method is a method which I am having in my result class, and I am going to display the total put number, put marks and put weight and everything. So now you can see put number is a method. So I didn't have any things here. Here I'm directly taken my parent class things. And then this is my main class and my main class name is hybrid. And here I'm creating an object for my child class result because the child class is result here. So R1 is an object which I am created by using this R1 dot get numbers. I'm given roll number for my class student and get marks. I'm given a marks for the test class and by display method I'm going to display the contents. So this is a program for hybrid inheritance. So I just copy. So this is my class here. So I can say with this name dot java. So here I'm given java c hybrid dot java and here I need to give my interpreter and then my class name. So now you can find out the roll number and the marks obtained at part 1 and part 2 is like this and weighting of scores is like this and the total score is like this. So this is about the hybrid inheritance in OOPS concepts, right? So in the inheritance concept, so at the time when I'm going to discuss about abstraction, so I'll give you different access modifiers. So we can use along with that and how you're going to access and everything I'll show you that, right? So I hope you all understand and I'll provide the attendance link in live chat. You just go through and fill the today attendance. So tomorrow hopefully we have a class at 6:30, right? Let's be joined for the tomorrow's class.